Welcome to this episode of the Conscious Business Coffee Break, where we take a few moments to explore what's happening in the conscious business movement, expand awareness, and encourage your efforts in conscious business. Greetings, everyone. I'm Stephen Donaco of the Conscious Business Enterprise, a division of Humanities team. And on today's program, we get into principle 3 of the Conscious Business Declaration, which is business must go beyond sustainability. So I'll start, as I have with these past few episodes, with the preamble to the declaration. And the preamble is, as a global community of business leaders, we are committed to developing the awareness and skills needed to consciously evolve our organizations in alignment with these principles. And today we're looking at principle 3. So principle 3 of the Conscious Business Declaration is that business must go beyond sustainability and the philosophy of do no harm to restoring the self-renewing integrity of the earth. So let's pick that apart and look at the words beyond sustainability. And I'm going to borrow from one of our Conscious Business Enterprise faculty, Chris Laszlo, on this, because he talks about looking at the word sustainability from a very personal perspective. And he asks a very simple question when you talk about sustainability. He said, would you want your marriage or your closest relationships to be simply sustainable? Is that what you're seeking in a relationship or in your partnership, in your marriage? And he holds that most of us would probably say, no, we don't want just simply a sustainable relationship. What we want is, especially in our closest relationships, is we want those relationships to flourish. And shouldn't we want, even demand the same from business? And to take that just a little bit deeper in a little bit more detail, sustainability is essentially the idea that we're doing less harm than we're doing from in a business standpoint in terms of environmental impact or social impact, but we aren't, or there isn't an inherent contribution to flourishing. So sustainability, the idea of doing less harm, is not as powerful as the idea of flourishing and really generating, being a generative a person, a generative business, and giving back and ensuring health and growth and flourishing. So then the second part of that declaration, to beyond sustainability to restore the self-renewing integrity of the earth, that's a big statement as well. So, and my interpretation of that is that we must stop picking the wound. Right? So what I mean by that is that if you have suffered an injury of some sort, or say a cut, it doesn't get better when you pick at it to see if it's healing. You really have to let it be and give it the opportunity to heal itself. And we're doing essentially this with unconscious attention to the earth, that we are extracting more and more natural resources from the earth, and we keep picking at those wounds, looking for more, and we're really not even giving it the opportunity to heal. And renewable natural resources are being consumed at 1.7 times faster than they can regenerate, according to the Global Footprint Network. That means we're using 1.7 Earths to meet all of our demand for natural resources, and anything over 1 is not sustainable, right? So if we're looking at our demand for resources in relation to what the earth can provide, and if we have a 1-to-1 relationship, the earth's able to regenerate and keep up with us, that we're at 1.7 times. So we actually need more than half of another planet Earth to support the demand and the extraction that we're doing today. And the Global Footprint Network has a day called Earth Overshoot Day that it's defined. And this is the day that essentially we have used all of the resources on Earth, that all that the Earth can provide. And this year, Earth Overshoot Day fell on August 1st, which is the earliest that it's ever been. And if you go back just a generation into the 70s, Earth Overshoot Day was sometime in late December. So within a generation, we've accelerated by an enormous amount what we are using in Earth's natural resources and extracting so much that the Earth can't keep up. So this, of course, impacts a loss of biodiversity, soil erosion, deforestation, as well as droughts and hurricanes around the world. So here's the deal with all that. The Earth has the ability to regenerate itself if we give it the chance to. And it's possible to support the self-renewing integrity of the Earth. One of the hopes for this is been outlined by a scientist by the name of E.O. Wilson, who wrote a book called Half Earth. And essentially, he holds that if we conserve half, so he's not even saying don't do anything, but if we conserve, if we're able to actually be conscious and consciously conserve half the land and sea, 85% of all species will be protected from its extinction, and then life on Earth will enter what he calls the safe zone. And there is a link I'll include in the comments to the video to the Half Earth Project, where you can learn more about that movement. And I want to end this part of the discussion with a quote by E.O. Wilson. And he says, "To strive against odds on behalf of all life would be humanity at its most noble." So a powerful statement there. I'm going to read it again. To strive against odds on behalf of all life would be humanity at its most noble. And that's really what Humanity's Team is all about. And that's what the Conscious Business Enterprise embodies in our programming, is that we, in support of life and the flourishing of life, that we are practicing a humanity at its most noble. So let's review from the top. I'll go through the other principles in the declaration. So principle 1 is we are one with humanity and all of life. Business and all institutions of the human community are integral parts of a single reality, interrelated, interconnected, and interdependent. And then principle 2, in line with this reality, in other words, the reality that we are one, the purpose of business is to increase economic prosperity while contributing to a healthy environment and improving human well-being. And that leads us to today's principle number 3. Business must go beyond sustainability and the philosophy of do no harm to restoring the self-renewing integrity of the Earth. I'll put some other links to the items that I referenced here today in the coffee talk, and then we will see you for principle 4 next week on Wednesday, 9 a.m. U.S. Central Time, the next edition of the Conscious Business Coffee Break. Have a great weekend, everyone.